Here we go.
You are now listening to Beast Mode Mindset with Chrissy Renee.
Hello, everyone. We're back. It's Wednesday, 9 p.m., and Beast Mode Mindset is in full effect. I'm so honored tonight. We have a special guest with us by the name of Nakia P. Evans. And so I'm going to get into a little bit with her and I tell you guys a little bit more about her. But just remember, January is all about business. Let's talk business. And so Beast Mode Mindsets of Faith, we're gearing up to make 2018 one of the best years possible, not just because it's a new year, but at this point, in life, it's important that we seek opportunities, we do new things, and we plant good seeds so we can reap a good harvest. And so all month long we've been talking about, what it's like to be a business owner, what it's like to start a business, some things that you should keep in mind with it. The person we have with us tonight, our guest, Nakia P. Evans, she is not just, one-dimensional. She's multidimensional. She has multiple businesses and awesome opportunities. And for those that don't know, Beast Mode Mindset is one of those things, is just one thing, one show that actually falls up under this amazing woman of God, Nakia P. Evans. She has a magazine. She owns her own company. She has recently transitioned into being a broadcast as well. So it's not just, she has shows. She had a network, and she's just taking off in this area, which is something near and dear to her heart. I'm glad I can call her a friend, and I'm glad I can call her a sister. She keeps me aligned, and she's always there to provide advice. So, Nakia.
Yes, ma'am.
Because what everybody don't know is every show that happens, Nakia is back there. She is making it happen. And so, you guys, you get to hear the voice behind the music, and you get to hear the voice behind the intros. And, of course, she's not by herself because we have the awesome SIB and Mr. Allen, who's always working with everything as well. So Nakia is the one that's with us tonight. So Nakia,
yes, ma'am.
You got to take us back to the beginning. We're all Beast Mode Mindset. We like to get a little deep, and we like to know how we got to where we're at today. So we like to go back though and get the background story, because we know for you to have all these things and the sky's the limit, and there's so many other things that you're working on. There's a story that comes with it. And meanwhile, not just on the business side, you're a mom, and you have an amazing daughter who you're managing her career as well. And, that's just amazing in itself. So how did you get into broadcasting, into radio, into network? How did that come about? Was that something you went to school for, or how did that come to play?
Well, it is something that I went to school for. When I started college, just like most college people, you just go to college to kind of get out your parents' house.
Okay.
So when I first went, I had no idea what I really wanted to do. And it caught my attention. And to be honest, radio was the least thing that I really wanted to do. I laugh and I tell people that, I just wanted to be pretty and be on TV. That was my whole thing. That was just everything to me. I wanted to do television more than anything. What happened was, of course, God had something totally different for me, because, he opened up an opportunity for me to do an internship. It was a paid internship. I'm a single mom. I'm in college. So, anything paid, hey, of course, I'm down, Yeah. And so, I went to this internship, and I would do this internship. And this man, the name of the radio station is WLJI's in Sumter, South Carolina. Shout out to Nate Stoney. Nate Stoney taught me everything. You know what I'm saying? Like he taught me the back end of programming at an actual radio station. And I love the programming part, but I didn't love being on air. You know what I'm saying? So it was like I still wanted to be the girl behind everything. I just didn't want to be behind the mic because that wasn't my interest. He really pushed me out there. You know what I'm saying? Like, he really pushed me, and he was like, you know, you have a great voice. You know, go ahead and do this. And I will tell you that from the first time that I went on air, like, that was it. I was sold. Like, that was everything to me. And so I continued to learn. I stayed with him. Even after that paid internship, I did my regular college internship with him. After college, after I graduated, I still worked there for a little bit. And then, you know, God just kind of transitioned things for me to start my own radio show. You know, so radio is everything to me now. Like, you know, and it's crazy because that was not where I was at before. You know, it was just television for me. But yeah, and so now, you know, I've been doing radio since 2013. 2013 is when I started my own, but as far as working in the radio field, that was since 2005. So I've been in it for a little bit. So, yeah. You there?
Yes. Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm saying definitely. You've been around, so you've been in the game for a minute now. 2005. To be there, and now we're in 2018. You know, that's a nice transition, and you've been able to build from that. So tell me this, Nakia, where'd you go to school at? Like, where you go to college at, and what was your major?
I went to Morris College, which is in Sumter, South Carolina, and my major was broadcast media. So it was everything with television, radio, journalism, like all of that. Everything media, that was what I went to school for. And I mean, like, when I take a look at my life now, it's crazy because I remember, you know, when I chose that major, you have people that say, oh, well, you know, you don't make money in that area, you know, why don't you go be a doctor or be a nurse, or, you know, it was like, do the things that seemed logical at the time. And even though I may have, you know, thought about it, for some reason I could not shake off being in media. Like, that was just what I really wanted to do. And so, you know, breaking into media, sometimes that seems very hard, you know. And my idea was I really wasn't looking for a job in media. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't my intention to be like, oh, I'm going to go to school for this and then I'm going to get a job and do this. Like, that wasn't really what I wanted to do. I'm kind of, like, I say this and I don't want to make it sound bad, but I'm a selfish person. So I want to be able to be like, okay, I want to do this on my own. You know what I'm saying? Not necessarily go and get a job to do it, but I want to be able to build from my own. And so, you know, it's amazing that now when I'm looking back at things, you know, God has, like, completely opened this door where now I'm able to do that, you know?
That's amazing, and that's fine. We can get comfortable with being selfish. I know
yes.
we talked about being selfless and selfish and the difference between those, but there are times when being selfish can be appropriate, and in the way in which you're talking about it, I can see it. I mean, I really can. But even with that, what you stepped out to do, you were still being selfless. Even though it might have seemed selfish, it was still selfless because you started connecting with others. And so the Nakia P. Evans brand starts to build. You stepped out on faith. It seems like at an early age. And, you know, I understand what that's like, being able, like, going to school and it's like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to major in this, I'm going to do this, and you have those people sometimes, and it's not that everybody always means bad, but, you know, sometimes it's like, hey, well, because they don't see it or because they don't know of people that actually were successful in that area or with that particular major, that they may not look at it in the best or the most positive light. So, right. You know, talk to you for stepping out on faith and beasting it out in your major and finishing out and getting that start. So when you first started, when you did your first show, tell me, like, how did you feel? How did you feel while you were doing it? Like, how did you feel, or what were you talking about? Do you recall that? Because I know anytime we step out and we do this something for the first time, like that first time, it seems like that just kind of gets like engraved in our minds. Like, we always hold on to it because it shows the growth of where we are now from where we, started.
Absolutely. So, when I started, I graduated from college in 2007. I worked at the radio station for a little bit, and then I also got a job at the radio station, which was in Columbia, South Carolina, for a little bit. And then I kind of, shrugged it off and went somewhere else. But God, it was like really strong on me to start my own. I really wanted to start my own. And so in 2013, I started Real Talk with Kia. It was on Blog Talk Radio. You know what I'm saying? I thought I was doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was crazy. My very first show, I was nervous, very, very nervous. And even though I had learned so much about radio, I think that it's a difference when you're actually learning and then you're out there doing it on your own. You know what I'm saying? So,
right.
2013, it was September 2013, I started Real Talk with Kia. That was my little show. I did it on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. I went all out, got my logo, and got everything done for it. And it was great. And I'm gonna say this because these are the things that God will do. September 2013, I started this little Blog Talk radio show, right? And what was crazy is that I had just started my show. I completely stepped out on faith, and I started reaching out to like these big names. I wasn't looking for just people that I may have known or things like that. Like, I wanted to be, I don't know, it was just me. I wanted to go after big names. You know what I'm saying? And God opened doors where I was able to, interview Michael Basin. Like, to me, that was just crazy because Michael Basin was someone that, I listened to in the car, driving home from work, you know what I'm saying? And things like that. And I loved him on radio. He was just like, to me, he was just like the greatest man on radio. And I stepped out on faith. I put it out there. And God opened the door for him to come on my little Blog Talk radio show. You know what I'm saying? Like, he came to my show. He called into my show, and I got to interview him. And that right there showed me, I was like, okay, God, so this right here is letting me know that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. You know what I'm saying? This is where I'm supposed to be at. I interviewed Tony Grant, which is he's an actor and singer. He played on a lot of Tyler Perry shows, and so that was awesome too because I was like, okay, God, like, you're blowing my mind because to me, and it was all about my mindset at that time. Like, for me, I felt like, you know what I'm saying, like, this is just, I'm just starting out, you know what I'm saying? Even though I may have knowledge of this, I'm just kind of working this thing out as I go, But it was that I don't know, that bigger part of me or that overachiever part of me that just wanted to be like, okay, Nakia, so go do this, try this. Let's see if you can do this. And just by doing that, you know what I'm saying? Like, God opened these doors, and I was like, wow, like, man, like, that's awesome. That's like totally cool, awesome sauce. And that just pushed me to go harder even more,
I like how you put that. Just it wasn't you. It was all God stepping out on faith. And looking at the fact that your mindset was, I'm just thinking back, even from knowing you down and today, you still had to have, that beast mode mindset then, because it's one thing to start something, but to reach out in the way in which you did. You said, hey, I'm not going to just reach out to the people I know and that are around me, and which is fine, but it's like, you know what, I'm going to go. You started out taking things to the next level, and you probably realized it later, but you might have not realized it then. You probably just said, okay, no, I'm about to, I'm gonna do what I got to do, and make sure this is good and this is solid. So that's amazing that you were able, to get those interviews. I can understand exactly I can understand how you feel to reach out and you're like, oh my gosh, like they're coming here, they're coming, they're gonna be on my show, and so Blog Talk, right? Blog Talk. That was 2013? You said.
That was back in 2013. Yep.
Wow, and we're here in 2018, and not even trying to push it, but Nakia, so how many shows and stations do you manage and or network?
Oh wow. Right now I have officially that has already started. It is 6 shows. But we have people that started out in February, and if we count those, that will be 11 radio shows that we'll have. Right now, I have four radio stations coming up. Yep, 4. Let's see. Yep, 4 radio stations, and we just did 1 TV station. So that's listen. God is good. That's all I can say. Like, God is great. All Him.
God is good, and that's a lot of growth. That's a lot to manage. How do you manage all that? And see, the funny thing we're about to get into too is there's plenty of other things that you're doing, and this what we're talking about right now is just a small piece of the pie. It's just one piece of the puzzle, because you run, I like to say it, a whole empire. So, I mean, beast mode, like, times 1,000, that's what Nakia P. Evans is. Like, if I put a definition beside it in Webster, it's going to be beast mode and Nakia, interchangeable because of everything else is going on. So that's awesome. That's, like I said, that's a lot of growth. To be able to, have that and to manage all that. So how do you manage all that? Because you're talking about multiple shows, and this one included, and then you have multiple hosts. But if somebody knows anything about you when it comes to working on the show or getting anything together, all the behind the scenes work, the things that take place, I would never be able to tell. Like, you make it seem so easy, although I know it's not. You make it seem so easy, and you're just always so open. Like, I can't think of one time that, I've been able to reach out and you're like, no response. Like, you're instantly connected. You have you make it your business to be personal with each and every host or station owner. And what does that mean to you? How are you able to manage everything? Like, what does that mean to you to be able to build these relationships with so many individuals and be a part of so much and just providing this opportunity?
Well, I mean, it's the way that you have to look at it. At first, when I was like, okay, so we're going to open the station up, we're going to start bringing shows in, yes, of course, it's business. You know what I'm saying? It really is. But then the thing about it is that I didn't want to operate my station so much as business out on top. This is a Christian network, and I wanted to make sure that I was connected with everybody because that makes it easier. You know what I'm saying? And make sure that we were on the same level as you understand that, yes, this is business. That means there are things that have to be taken care of. But then on the flip side of that, like, this is ministry to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, every aspect of every business that I do, I look at it as ministry. We're doing this unto God. We're giving God the glory for this. And when I start looking at things that way and when I do things that way, it makes it so much easier. So I didn't want my network to be just business. It has to be ministry. So when people reach out to me and they're like, oh, Nakia, if I can't get to you at that exact moment, I'm going to get back to you. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to make sure that we communicate. I'm going to make sure that we're on the same page. I'm going to make sure that everything is flowing the way that it needs to flow, because it's a ministry. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how it is. You know, and for me to be able to do that, I mean, I have help, you know, of course. You know, Alan is like thebombbaby.com, you know what I'm saying? And,
right.
You know, just being able to, you know, have that support where I can go to him and talk to him and get what I need from him, and then be able to go back and deliver that to everyone else, that means everything to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just have to, it's all about how you look at it. You know, because I think that if I would have looked at it as business, and it would have just been business, it would have been just business connections and things like that. But no, it's not. You know, that's why I wanted this network to stand out. You know, I wanted this network to be different. I wanted to do things in a different aspect than you would normally see, because I was like, okay, God, you know, show me what you want for this network. Because the name of the network is Ruach Life. Ruach is where the Spirit of God, you know, it's the Spirit of God. So our tagline is where the Spirit of God resides. I can't just say that, you know, this is where the Spirit of God resides only when it comes to you doing a show. My thing is, I have to be able to show the love of God in every aspect that I'm doing. So, yeah,
right.
Even though there's a lot of shows, or even though there's a lot of, you know, compartments when it comes to this network, there's still a requirement of me that I have to do, that God will hold me to in order to give to you. You know what I'm saying? So it's to me, it's about that. I don't want to look at it in any other aspect than that. And so, you know, when you're looking at it and you're looking at the numbers, and, you know, somebody else say, oh, Nakia, you know, how many shows or how many things? And they're like, oh, my gosh, you know, and I'm like, it is, you know, it seems like a lot, but it's really not. It's all about how you approach it. It's about the things that you do. You know, I want to make sure that I have a close relationship with everybody that comes to this network. You know, I want to make sure that we're on that same level, that we both understand that this is to God. You know, it's not just about to be famous. It's not to get your voice, you know, heard all across the world, but it's about ministry. And when we can understand that this is about ministry, and we do those things unto God, God will do the rest. And so, you know, that's just how I look at it. That's how I'm able to manage, is by the grace of God. It's by, you know, having great support. And, you know, everyone that's, you know, connected with me on this network, you know, to hear them say, oh, well, this is what I like, and this is, you know, what I want to do, that pushes me to be able to do more and give more and go to God and be like, okay, God, what do I do now? You know, which step do I take now? You know, what should I do about this? And that's it. That's it. It's just how you look at it.
I think that is a blessing. First off, I'll say, to be able to look at a business as a ministry, and any time a business does it and has a certain amount of growth, you know, when we think about God and stepping out on faith, He always super exceeds, you know, what we kind of see, or the expectations that we have. And so, funny thing my grandma always says, which at first when I was little I didn't understand it, but now as I've gotten older I've come to understand it in some ways. You know, favor ain't fair. And then and when things are meant, and what God has for you is for you. And so He's definitely showed up and showed out in your life when it you know, when it has come to business. And I know that doesn't mean that everything is, you know, always been perfect and everything always works smoothly and according to plan, but definitely just, you know, listening to you talk about, you know, 2007 graduating, the 2013 and starting things off, and we're here at 2018 at the beginning of the year, and just in the past few months, some things have just like jumped in growth for you. And I think it's exactly what you're saying, how your growth connects, your growth in business connects as well. Your business, you represent your business, you represent a brand. And of course, as you grow, that brand and that business can grow. And by you opening up and once again taking your business to the next level and practicing what, we like to say being selfless, it has pushed you into other levels of your faith, your walk with God, and just you as a woman and as a business owner as well. And I'm saying all that to trickle into the fact, before we get into break, outside of radio, you have your own magazine.
Yes, ma'am, that I do.
Tell us a little bit before we go to break about the magazine, because like I told everyone when we started, she holds multiple businesses and multiple things, and so radio shows, network, that's just one side of it. So tell us about the magazine. How did that kind of fit in, or where did that start to fall into play between the transition into your radio career and to where you're at now? Did that come out as a part of something else, or was it its own separate thing?
Oh, wow. The magazine is kind of funny because the magazine is what I went for first before radio. Even though I did the internships, even though, I had a job with it, the magazine was like the number one thing, you know what I'm saying? Because even though I had a desire to be on television, that just wasn't popping off at the moment. You know what I'm saying? So the TV wasn't popping for me. So it was a magazine. I had a desire to do the magazine. So when I graduated from college in 2007, I tried to start my magazine. Well, that didn't work, so I tried the next year, and that didn't work. And so I actually tried to do a magazine for 8 years and consistently failed for 8 years. You know what I'm saying? Totally. 8 years, I failed every single year. And I tell people, I was like, it was so much about my mindset where I was at that time. I truly believe that if God would have allowed me to produce the magazine at that time, where the magazine is now and how it is now, it would not have been that way before, because I wasn't in the place to be able to do it. Secondly, my mindset was just completely, it wasn't where it needed to be. I didn't have that entrepreneur mindset. I didn't have that ministry mindset. I wasn't able to, I didn't know nothing about it. I just knew that I wanted it, and I was trying to go after it. And so I went after it in the wrong way. And so, for some people, it takes people to fall down once, and then you learn and you get back up and you succeed. Well, back then I was a little hard nut, you know what I'm saying? So it wasn't that easy for me to learn, It was more about I want to do things the way that I want to do things. I wasn't at a place in my life where I was ready to submit everything to God, and that's just honest. I wasn't to that place. So it was all about what I wanted. I had a name. The name was going to be Keeping It Real Magazine. You know what I'm saying? I thought that it tied in with my show, Real Talk with Kia. So I was like, yeah, this is what it's going to be. This is what it's going to be about. This is what we're going to do. And God said no. And so I tried again, and he said no. And I tried 8 times, and God said no 8 times. He said no. It wasn't until the beginning of 2015. 2015, I went through, a situation or whatnot. I was engaged to this guy. I felt like I was suffocating, regardless that I loved him. It was just that with him, I was going in a different direction than where God was trying to take me. You know what I'm saying? And so It was to a point where God had gave me a choice. Either you're going to go over here with him, or you're going to do what I called you to do. You know what I'm saying? And so, it was more like, to be honest, my purpose for my life was far greater than my emotional state or what I thought I wanted. You know what I'm saying? So, it was just to a point where you just had to say, okay, it's been great, but yeah, I got to go. I have to go because God says that I'm supposed to be over here, and you're trying to take me over here. And everything, and it was crazy because everything that I felt, everything that I wanted to do, it just felt like I was suffocating. You know what I'm saying? Not saying that I couldn't do those things if I was with him, but it was just the fact that wasn't my purpose. That wasn't where God wanted me to be. He wasn't the man that God, wanted me to be with. And it was like, okay, so I'm going to have to cut this off because I have to go in this direction, and where God is leading you is over here. That's not for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, all that is not for me. Pastor wife, yeah, that's not for me. Okay? So, so, we cut that off. I cut that off, and I had got to a place, I was like, okay, God, you show me what you want me to do. You let me know what I'm supposed to be doing. And, I had to go through my own little process of, detoxing with, emotions and events that I had incurred, back in my past. And it wasn't until I got into a place of healing and got into a place where I was ready to give everything to God that the door opened up for the magazine. And mind you, like I had stopped. I gave it some time off because I just got tired. Like it was embarrassing to keep failing. You're posting all over Facebook and be like, yeah, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and people looking for it, and they're like, where it at? And it was nowhere to be found because I kept failing. I wasn't in that place. And so I gave it a little bit of time, a couple of months, about a year, whatnot. And, I after I got into that place where God was able to heal me, where I was able to get my mind right, where I was able to think of everything not so much as, oh, it's all about Kia, you know what I'm saying, but then think about it like, okay, God, this is yours. I'm just a vessel. I'm just being used to do your glory, to do your will. That's it. And once I got into that mindset, then things started happening. God allowed that magazine to be, started that same year, November of 2015. Authentically You magazine came about, and since then we've been growing, we've been building, and we've been doing it.
That's awesome and amazing. And so the main takeaway is when God say move, you gotta move. Like we kind of be like, nah, not today, not right now. And then we still try to do everything that we want to do, and we're like, okay, it's kind of working, not really. Oh, it's good. It looks like, the balloon is blowing up, and then up it pops. And then so, so you're right though, and sometimes we think we get to a point where we're like, okay, so this is where it's at. We're gonna make it work from here. This is gonna be okay. This will be good. And then he's like, no, I need you to move over here because I'm wanting to, how he said, I had a conversation earlier today. I need you to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. So I got to take you from where you're at and move you over here and get you in the place that I need you in, because what you don't realize is there's a whole nother level of blessings. There's a whole nother level that I'm getting ready to push you to, bigger than you can even imagine. And so you were okay with being okay, but no, you're my child. You're my daughter. You're daddy's girl, and I need you to be great. And I said daddy's girl because that's one of your key phrases. You're a daddy's girl. And
absolutely.
Daddy always takes care of us, which, we're speaking about God. We're all God's kids. And so you did something that this song we're about to go to break with did. You didn't turn back. And so we're not turning back. We're pushing forward. Kia, I'm enjoying this chit chat with you. Like we're digging. And so it's not even just a magazine. We're gonna finish up talking about that, but after break we'll be talking about Nakia the author as well. So I told you guys she always there. I mean, we're going to keep pulling. It's like the onion with the layers, and the more you pull, like you cry and everything else. And I mean, I don't like onions, but I'm just using that as an example tonight. But that's how it goes with Nakia. And so you're like, another layer. This woman, that lets you know that God has his hand on her life. And there's something that she's been doing that we all can do, which is step out on faith, getting our mindset right, and getting comfortable with being uncomfortable so you can go to the next level. God wants us to soar. We're his kids. He is our father, daddy's girl. I love it. Nakia, we'll be right back after this, talking more about the magazine, books that you have done and wrote, and what's coming next, and how people can get in touch with you. Because, I mean, you're awesome. You're awesome. So I have to share you with everybody else as much as I want to be selfish. So we'll be right back after this.
Like an anthem, man. Them horns got me feeling real heroic right now, baby. Yes, this my 300 music. I'm about to get my Leonidas on, fam. Let's ride then, baby. You riding with me, baby? Let's get it. I got my full on my own, my head to the sky. I'm going in the battle with my own. Let's get it, man. High and I'm through playing games. You can see, baby, mine. And you can go and ask anybody. I'm real, and I ain't turning back. I ain't turning back. I ain't turning back. I ain't turning back. It ain't nothing back. I ain't turning back. You ready, fam? I ain't turning back. I ain't turning back. I ain't turning back. No, I'm on my loop 9. I'm daily dying. Holy Spirit, keep your boy while I'm on the grind. Full on my own, cause I know them darts flying. And I'm through playing games, homie, I ain't lying. I'm walking out the way that I had as a juvenile. But this the plan that God had before I was a child. I'm walking in my destiny, and he protecting me. I'm eating at a table prepared before my enemies. That's why, homie, I ain't turning back. You hear me? I ain't turning back. Only thing I'm turning back, homie, is my fitted hat. So go ahead and get your gat. You can go and cock it back when Christ rose up off the grave, and he coming back. And one day I'ma rise with him, meet up in the skies with him. That's why I'm willing to live and even die with him. Brethren all over the world, my horns high with him. Even if it means I death, you know we ride with him. Yeah, my head to the sky. I'm going in the battle with my horns up high, and I'm through playing games. You can see it in my eyes, and you can go and ask anybody. I'm a ride, and I ain't turning back. 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 No.
Young boy flame in the church, about 17. Down the street, dirty things. Down the street, murder scene. So our whole regime hit the knees and we went witnessing. Our plan, lift the king. God's plan is redeemed. He brought my homie back. Now we back on the track, running the same race. We on the same track for the same God who resurrected his son. Reflect on what he's done. Ain't no backwards to run. Where will we go? Back to our grave. Leave a castle for some shackles and being slaves. They don't make no sense. No offense with the statement, man. No offense, that's man. Just like a Jew begging for concentration camps. That's just like a black begging for segregation bans. That's insanity, beautiful Christianity. And true to the planet, removing all our vanity. God forgives, see flaming things. We got our full on.
My head to the sky. I'm going in the battle with my horns up high. And I'm through playing games. You can see it in my eyes. And you can go and ask anybody. I'm a ride. And I ain't turning back. 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 Let's get it in, man. I ain't turning back. No, they said it wasn't worth it. That this was worthless. Ain't nothing but hypocrites sitting up in them churches. Never. But I went to God's house and I found my purpose. Now my life's a sacrifice, fam, I'm living worship. Ain't nothing behind but death for me and enemies. That's it. A cemetery or a penitentiary. That's it. That ain't the way I want you to remember me. Never. Now they think of my Lord when they mention me. This is rider music, survivor music. And I wasn't forced to do this, I was built to do it. And I know it's war ahead, but God gon' get me through it. And I brought my cross with me, gone and nailed me to it. Cause I ain't turning back. I don't care if they got 50 ratchets at me, about to knock off my fitted hat. I ain't turning back. I don't care if they got 50 ratchets on me, gone and knock off my fitted hat. My head to the sky. I'm going in the battle in the battle with my horns up.
And when it's
high,
wartime,
and I'm through playing games. You
soldiers
can
go
see
to
it
the
in
front
my
line.
eyes, and you can go and ask
But this one
anybody.
we don't gotta worry
And
about
I ain't
losing.
turning back. I ain't turning back.
Because it's already
I ain't turning
determined.
back. I ain't turning
That
back.
my God
I ain't
gon'
turning
win.
back. I ain't turning back.
That's why we
I
go
ain't
in.
turning back. I ain't turning back. No.
Our little break, do our little hype session. We get hype. We're not turning back. We're not going back to 2017, 2016, 2015. I mean, and if you do, I mean, just take a look back at it and reflect on how good God is seeing the growth that you had and the fact that you made it to another day, another year, another moment in life that wasn't guaranteed and wasn't promised. And so, once again, we have with us the lovely Nakia P. Evans. An awesome woman of God, an awesome business owner. January, let's talk business. So we're back from break and we're picking it back up. We were just talking about the magazine. I told you guys that she was amazing. So she's over top of the broadcast. Like, she has shows, she has TV. I mean, she has a magazine, and I dropped a little bit of it before. She has books. Like, she's an author, and so she's been putting together projects, and she's not just, oh, okay, I wrote a book, she's a bestseller. So, like, let me just add that on in there too, but we'll get on to that in a second. But Nakia, about the magazine.
Mm-hmm.
So if I have it correct, you said it was about, what, 2016, you said, is when it kind of really just picked up?
2015. Yep.
2015. Okay. All right. And so you said it was 8 years you tried to get it up, and every year it didn't work. As you went through those years, what was your mindset like because when people are doing business, we have to understand, sometimes you can have an amazing concept of something that's so great. But it's a lot of times about that timing and positioning, and like you've been able to see is that, you know, the timing had to be right, and God was like, no, not today, not this year, not this year. So how was things with your mindset just as it relates to that? Because then you have some other things that seem to be doing pretty great and kind of growing in different areas on the other side, and then you have this other concept, and it's like, oh, okay, well, this is something I'm supposed to do. Why is it not working just yet? So how did you kind of transition through those years, and how did that feel?
Well, I mean, you know, the first time I failed, it was like, oh, okay, you know, I'm gonna just try again. You know what I'm saying? So the second year came, and I you know, it didn't happen, and you know, you get kind of down or whatnot, but you're like, oh, I'm still going to do this because this is what I want. And see, the thing about it is, like, since I was younger, you know, my mom has always told me, she was like, you're too creative. She was like, you're so creative. She was like, entrepreneurship is yours. She was like, that's just who you are. And I was just ready to jump into it. You know what I'm saying? And I think that at that point of my life, you know, it was like I need this to kind of work. You know, I needed to work. I needed to do it. But see, the thing about it was that I was doing it in the wrong mindset. You know, I had the wrong intentions of doing it in the first place. Because I was looking at it, oh, it's a magazine. Yeah, let me do this. Let me bank. You know, my pocket going to be banking. You know, like, I'm going to be good, you know. And it really wasn't what God wanted it to be. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, first 2 years or whatnot, it was like, oh, okay, you know, it is what it is. I'm going to just try again. But let me tell you, like, the third and fourth and fifth, it got me to a place, like, I was just so confused. Like, I really was. Like, my whole self-esteem was down, you know, and I was just like, okay, God, like, I don't understand what's going on. Like, you give me this to do, you know what I'm saying? So why is it not happening? You know, but see, what I missed, and this is so important, what I missed, yes, God had given me a magazine, but I was doing it out of myself. So it wasn't the name that God had given me. I just wanted to keep it real. You know what I'm saying? That was just something I wanted. It wasn't what God had said. It was just something I wanted, you know? And the aspect of doing it. I had seen people do it, but it was like, okay, so I'm going to do it like this. Let me do it like this. And basically God was telling me no, and so this time of my life was very important to me. It was a great learning experience because God was pushing me out into ministry at this time, you know what I'm saying? So he was pushing me out to start speaking and being in ministry more. And then not only that, but there was a lot of things mentally and emotionally that I needed to deal with that I just kept kind of sweeping under the rug. You know what I'm saying? I just wanted to sweep it. I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want to deal with it. It was just like, it is what it is, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's just move on. Let's just keep going. And God was basically telling me, he was like, nah, we're going to deal with this. You know what I'm saying? Because you can't give to my people. You know what I'm saying? And you ain't right. You know what I'm saying? Like, we all know that hurt people don't do nothing but hurt other people. And you're talking to a girl who, you're talking to a girl who had, like, complete, like, serious issues back in the day. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was angry. I was mad. I was confused. My self-esteem back then was just completely just damaged. Like, it was just bad. You know what I'm saying? And that I'm trying to sit here and produce something and try to give to God's people. And God's saying, he was like, no. And so it wasn't so much as me saying, oh, well, I don't think maybe, the ideas wasn't right or any of that. It wasn't necessarily that. I truly believe that God needed me to be in a certain state. There was a certain place that I needed to be in. I needed to be in position to be able to produce what God has given me to birth out. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had to be able to give birth to this baby, but I wasn't ready to receive it. I wasn't ready to take care of it. I couldn't because of where I was mentally, you know what I'm saying, and emotionally and all of that. And so, nothing happened. And so I went through that process of letting God heal me, letting God deal with me, really detoxing myself from all of that, all of the hurt, all of the disappointments, all of that. And then I needed to get into him, and I had to learn who he was. And once I learned who he was, then I was able to say, oh, okay, Nakia, this is who you is. This is who you are. This is who you be. That's how I say it to my daughter. This is who you be. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is who you be. This is you. And so once I got into that space, that mindset of who I was, then things started to happen for me. And so, like you said, the hashtag Daddy's Girl, I just did a live about it a couple of minutes ago, like a couple of hours ago. I had to understand who I was. And it wasn't until I understood that things started happening for me. Because I can't go around saying that I'm a daddy's girl and then everything else is slack. Like, that takes away from God. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm saying that I'm a daughter of the King. Like, I'm saying that this is my birthright, that I'm supposed to be having these things. But then when you look at it, there's a lot of things that just ain't right. You know what I'm saying? Like, that takes away from him. God ain't going to have you out there looking like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, he don't want you out there looking like that. And so I had to really get into who he was. And then I was able to understand me. Because I tell people all the time, you can't know who you are without knowing him. Like, it doesn't make sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't say that I'm Sharon's daughter, which is my mom. I can't say I'm Sharon's daughter without knowing who Sharon is. You know what I'm saying? I have to know something. I have to be able to say something. I have her DNA. I have something from her. So, it wasn't until I got into that space, into that mindset, that God really started dealing with me on who I was. And the more that I learned about him, the more confident I became in myself. The more confident I came to be able to start these businesses and walk out on faith and do the crazy stuff. Because when people, I have people that come to me, they be like, oh, my gosh, I can't believe you did that. I'm like, why not? Like, it is what it is. Like, it's right there. Like, God said I can have it. Why not?
Like,
you know what I'm saying?
Do you not know who my daddy is? Like, do you not
Right. Like,
Right.
exactly. Do you not know who my daddy is? Like, this is, and I tell people, like, I expect blessings daily. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're looking at a girl who just transitioned into a situation, you know what I'm saying? And this right here is all I got right now. My businesses is what I do all day long, And it's like, I be sitting there and I be like stressed out and stuff, and sometimes, and God, he'll whisper that to me. Do you forget? Did you forget who you are? Did you forget who you are? And I'll be like, you're right, God. Thank you for getting me right. You know what I'm saying? Like, thank you for getting my mind right. And then I go back to, being, who he tells me to be. So, it is what it is. It's just, God is awesome. That's all I can say.
Yes.
he's just that, you know? Yeah.
And it's funny because when you're saying it, I'm thinking, I'm just like, do you not know who my daddy is? But at the same time, too, I mean, he your daddy, too. Like, do you not get who you are? Like, let's look in the mirror. Like, you know, let's take a deep look, long look. We're made in his image. We're his babies. He wants us to have the best. But, you know, even when I'm talking about babies, and we're talking about the 8 years that it took before something came completely together because God had to work on you. There's a big part of all of that. It's called process. You can't deny the process. A lot of times we want things in life, and just you sharing bits and parts of your testimony show us that, like, that there's a process, and in order to help somebody else, you're going to have to go through and successfully get through where you're at so you can turn around and help the next person, so you can be understanding, so you can embrace your ministry. And then also, too, there are blessings that are tied into that. Too often we want to go through, we don't want to go through the process. We're scared of what we're going to look like, what it's going to be like coming out, and who's going to be, you know, paying attention to us. And then we have to remember, like, hold up, you know, this is where I'm at. And sometimes the only way to get to the other side is to go through. And at this point in my life, a lot of times, I've been through enough stuff, and I know you can agree with it too. We've been through enough that the understanding is, as long as I have breath in my body, I'm going to go through. But sometimes it's not just because, okay, I messed up, I made a mistake. But God, there's a true lesson that needs to be learned, and going to the next level requires a certain mindset. When I say next level, it's not just one level. There are multiple levels. Because even when so I got my magazine and I'm here, there's still another level above that and another level above that. And as long as you keep pushing through, God's going to always provide everything that you need and everything that you could ever want, because you're focusing on him. And so as we move forward in business and life and everything, we have to keep our focus stayed on him. That's what he wants. And that's the purpose of going through. That's the purpose of, okay, I'm going to send the smoke. I'm going to send the hail. I'm going to send the rainstorms and everything else to distract you and kind of get you off track. But if you really trust and believe me, and you know I'm right here in front of you, keep walking to me. Keep stepping out on faith. And even when I always talk about being in beast mode, it's a process. Beast mode is definitely a process. And so, Nakia, you have just been providing us with all types of awesome information about how you've been in beast mode, and like I said, we call it many different things. Stepping out on faith, and allowing God to lead us, being daddy's girl. It all boils back to the fact that you have to take time to get to know who you are, who God is, build that relationship, and let him lead you in the right direction of everything that he wants you to have. And so, Nakia, I want you to tell us right quick, because I just want to touch on it a little bit. You, at this point, you're a best-selling author. You have some awesome collaborations that are out there, and some more things that you're working on. And so, not just with the books and those collaborations and the radio show and your broadcast and the magazine. What are some of your key things when it comes to business for any young woman or any young male or any young business person that's starting out, or say, hey, I have this idea, I want this to happen? What would be some of your key things that you would kind of tell them or say to them?
Well, number one thing that I learned, complete knowledge of yourself. Like I keep saying that because that is like so key. You don't know who you are in Christ, everything else it just ain't gonna work. It really isn't. If you say God is giving you something to do, you have to be able to understand who you are in order to produce that, in order to birth that out. Secondly, you know, Chrissy, you said something so important earlier before break. You said we have to learn how to be comfortable being uncomfortable, and that's it. You know what I'm saying? Like, the things that you want to do, or I'm going to put it like this, the things that God wants you to do, it ain't in your comfort zone. You know, I posted this a couple of weeks ago. Your comfort zone is not God's faith zone. You know what I'm saying? You can't say that you have faith that you're going to do this and you're going to do that, and then you're still sitting in a boat. And God is saying, no, I told you to come on out here. You know what I'm saying? You got to be able to be uncomfortable. You got to be able to make these faith moves, because that's what it's about. Faith moves is saying, you know what I'm saying? Like, God has given me this. I believe that God has said this. So now I'm going to produce the action in order to do it. Not just sitting there waiting for it to fall in your lap, but you got to be able to move out there. You know what I'm saying? A relationship with God, of course, that is so key, because you got to be able to hear from him. You got to be able to listen to where he's guiding you, where he wants to take you, you know, for those doors to open. Because every door that's open, every opportunity that comes, it ain't for you. I've turned down a lot of opportunities because I'm like, yeah, God, that ain't you. God be like, no.
Right.
And even though it looked good, and I'd be like, but Jesus, come on, like, I want to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really want to take advantage of this. And he'd be like, no. I said no. You know, you have to be able to understand that. So you have to be able to go with his flow, not our own flow, but go with his flow. And then lastly, you have to be able to keep your mind right. And you have to be able to grow. And that takes time. You have to be able to invest in you. And I'm not talking about just with money and all this other kind of stuff, but invest in you. Read your word. You know, get your prayer life together. You know what I'm saying? Like, I tell people that my goal is to always intensify my prayer life. I always want to be able to continue that and grow in that. Grow in faith, grow in God, grow in my prayer life. You know, make sure that I'm reading my word, staying in my word, because these are going to come to kind of knock you off, and you got to be able to stay focused. You know, take time to invest in people helping you. Everybody wants to do it by themselves, and it doesn't work that way. Trust me, I've tried. It doesn't work. You need to be able to have someone to show you and guide you. I invest in a business coach. I have a business coach, you know, somebody that I go to, somebody that, you know, helps to guide me on what I'm doing. Does that take money? Yes, it does. But that's an investment, because she's already done the things that I'm trying to do. She already knows how these work. So I invest in that. I have somebody to help guide me. So being able to have someone guide you, invested in a coach to show you what to do, to give you, you know, examples and show you which way to go, absolutely, do that. Invest in your reading. I love to read. I read all the time. Personal development books, you know, Facebook, things like that, reading, you know, writing. Write down those things that God has told you to do. And then, like I said, don't just sit there. Like, get up and do it. What you going to do? What moves are you making according to your faith? You know, I shared this on Facebook. We went to church, and the pastor said, faith that does nothing is worth nothing. You can't sit there and say that you trust and you have faith that God has told you to do this, and just you're sitting waiting for it to fall in your lap. It don't work like that. The Bible says faith without works is dead. So you have faith that God has given you that. You have faith that that's going to happen. So you need to get up, get your mind right, and get moving. That's it.
I hear you, Nakia. Let's get it. Let's go beast mode. And so, no, I agree with everything you're saying. Personal development is very much so key. Even right now, one of my mentors and one person that's really special and near and dear to me, they were like, hey, I need you to check this out. And so right now, one of my mentors, like not even one, two of them, recommend the same thing. So I'm reading Soar by T.D. Jakes. So anybody that's listening, check it out. It is an awesome read, an awesome book, Soar by T.D. Jakes. Also, to Nakia, I know on your page you have multiple things posted as far as their books, and we didn't get to jump all into that, but you're not going nowhere. You're with us every Wednesday night behind the scenes, and you're on the Beast Mode Mindset team. So another exclusive with another part of a Beast Mode Mindset member that's making it happen. So 2018 is going to be a great year. Nakia, if I have it correct, everyone can reach you. Nakia P. Evans on Facebook. She's very open. She's open to just share what she knows, but also, too, she has some amazing opportunities. So you guys keep an eye out on everything that she's doing. She's an awesome and amazing woman. She said one thing that's real key tonight, and I heard it Sunday morning. And a summarization of everything. If you want to suffocate your own purpose and suffocate your own destiny, stay comfortable, because then you're not going to go anywhere to do anything else. But it's been another awesome, great night. Nakia, thank you for being with us. Thank you for just, putting your toe inside the door and kind of opening it up and giving us a peek inside of the Nakia Evans Brand, that platform that we're all coming to know, learn, and grow. And like I said, you guys, follow her on Facebook. Thank you once again for being with us tonight. And as always, Beast Mode Mindset. Let's get it. Let's go. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.